Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and we are here at the Rockingham Speedway, back in action here in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series after our Easter weekend break. And we are going to have a race every single weekend until the finale in Darlington Labor Day weekend. So we're going to be with you the next 21 weeks. Actually, it's going to be a little bit less than that, but still, we're going to be with you for a while here. And we're going to be seeing how this whole season goes, but we're here for Uncharted Qualifying. These are the guys who will be attempting to qualify. These are based off of results from the Armory Digital race in the Turkey Hill Series last weekend. Nick Smith in the 07, Bobo Jones in the 08, Ashlin Boyd in the 21, Logan Williams in the 55, Brandon Mayhew in the 57, Josh Williamson in the 67, Zach Rogers in the 71, and the winner of that Armory Digital race, Zachary DiLello in the 98, alongside Trey Wright and Jonathan Logan. They'll both be calling the race tomorrow with me for the Cheerwine 400. And Trey, it's going to be an interesting race. Passing's difficult here. What do you need to do if you happen to start in the back of the field for this event? We do have pit stops in the race, but it's a difficult place to work your way from the back here.
It definitely is, Napa. Excuse me. Rockingham definitely brings out the best in drivers. This weird little track in this little bit of this little hamlet in North Carolina. And I don't know if anybody on this channel has known this, but the banks and the turns are actually different. Turns 1 and 2 is banked at 22 degrees, and turns 3 and 4 is banked at 25 degrees. So this is definitely going to be a little technical racetrack here in North Carolina. It's also showcases some short track racing elements, so it's definitely a fun little track to watch around here, but it's absolute pandemonium to drive. So if you're starting in the back, there's definitely going to be a lot of wild moments and possibly wrecks in the front, and as long as you keep your race car clean, you might end up in victory lane.
And tire wear here at Rockingham is also very significant as well. Even though the track looks like it's nice and new and repaved, it is not the case. The fall-off here is a couple of seconds per lap, and this is only a mile-long racetrack, so that's also a very fun element to this race. And we've been coming here to Rockingham since season number 2. It's been a staple on the schedule for a very long time. We're excited to have this race. The only race this weekend, only unless you want to count the Hers Dash Series race that we got coming up later today, but Turkey Hill Series is off, so all these guys who are in the hot seat today will also be in the hot seat for Talladega next weekend. So they're going to get a couple opportunities based off their good finishes at Armory Digital. And the guy who won that race, Zachary DiLello, currently the fastest guy. We got a tie right now for second between the 71 of Zach Rogers and the 67 of Josh Williamson. And if we have a tie for the transfer position, it will be broken by Turkey Hill Series points. So I'm pretty sure Williamson has the advantage on Zach Rogers for that. We'll have to go back and check, but doesn't matter anymore. That has just changed. The 08 of Bobo Jones and the 67 of Josh Williamson both improved their times. And they are currently the two guys who will transfer on to the Cheerwine 400 provisionally at the moment. We're still in this session with about a minute left.
Yeah, so as you can see, the tire wear, like you said, tire wear, the lap times are falling off significantly. So I think as long as Bobo Jones just keeps what he's been doing, these guys can't come down and get fresh tires in time. So I think as the time winds down here, I think Bobo Jones is going to be in the show. Along with
Bobo Jones and Josh Williamson looking to advance on. And they're right with each other. And even though this is technically a short track, surprisingly enough, the draft comes into play just a little bit here. It's a pretty fast place, and you can actually get a bit of a slipstream ahead of the guy ahead of you here. Just a little bit. It's not like at other places, but that's also another factor. It's a very unique racetrack. One of the more unique races we have on the schedule, and we're really looking forward to seeing what happens in tomorrow's 79-lap event. On top of that, it's being back to a 400-mile race. So in Season 6, it was 79 laps, but then it went back down to 62 laps for a couple of years. It's now back to 79 laps. So there's going to be more racing action tomorrow than there has been the past couple of years. So another factor into the race, there's going to be 17 more laps than there has been the past couple of years. So that'll also play in the fuel strategy and how these guys maneuver the event here tomorrow at Rockingham. But either way, it does appear that these two guys will be advancing on. Bobo Jones, Josh Williamson. The tire wear at this point is going to be too significant for anyone to beat the times that they have posted. So with that, we go ahead and give it to Bobo Jones and Josh Williamson. They're going to advance on to the Cheerwine 400. They're going to join the other 40 full-time drivers in qualifying. Of course, we got 30 more seconds left, but like I mentioned, with the tire wear here at Rockingham, odds are no one's going to beat their times in these last 30 seconds.
Indeed. So hopefully, as you said, as the time winds down, and these two are definitely going to be in the show. So we'll give you a little bit of a preview on tomorrow's show. So as you said, it's 79 laps instead of the standard 62. So definitely going to throw a curveball to the drivers, and qualifying has officially ended for the Uncharted guys.
So Bobo Jones, Josh Williamson, they're going to be racing in tomorrow's 79-lap race here from the Rockingham Speedway, North Carolina. We'll go ahead and get the other 40 full-time drivers on the racetrack. See who gets the pole position for the Cheerwine 400. We'll be back in just a moment here from the Rock. And here we are, ready to set the starting lineup for tomorrow's Cheerwine 400, and this is going to be a significant session because, like I mentioned, passing can be a little bit difficult. But I think the most important thing for tomorrow's race is going to be pit strategy and tire strategy as well. If you come down even one lap before somebody else, you can gain 2 and 2.5 seconds on them. And we saw that last year when Brad Stover beat out Seth Cole in this very race. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But where you start is very significant in a place like this, and these guys are going to go after it here at The Rock. Patrick Smith, first driver out there in the number 30. Almost won this race in Season 7. He was one of the front runners in that race with Daniel McMillan and Jesse Turner a couple of years ago. See if he gets a little bit of redemption and gets another shot at it here in the Cheerwine 400.
So we've definitely had an interesting past couple of races here in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. So we had the Madhouse at Bristol, and then a couple races before that. So it's definitely been an interesting season for the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. So I expect equal madness here at Rockingham. Hopefully not as much madness as we had here last year with a couple cars flipping over to start off the race. But we'll just have to see what happens and who ends up in victory lane. But like you said, your qualifying time is definitely going to be a huge factor on how you do the Cheerwine 500K tomorrow.
Cheerwine 400.
400K.
We moved it up this year, so it's a longer race. It's 400 miles, shortened to 20% of the length now. Of course, obviously, all the races except for the Daytona 500 shortened to 20% of the length. But either way, it's going to be an interesting race. And another interesting fact, you've been pointing out, the craziness that we had at Bristol. That was a one-caution race. It was still wild at the end. But in the past 4 races, we've only had a total of 2 cautions. We had 1 caution at Atlanta, no cautions at either Homestead or Texas, and then only 1 caution at Bristol. There's only been 1 race this year with 2 cautions. Actually, excuse me, there's only been 2 races with 2 cautions or more. That was Phoenix that had 2 yellows, and then Daytona 500 had 3 yellows. What is the over-under that we're going to have more than 1 caution in tomorrow's race here at Rockingham? Because even last year, this race only had 1 yellow.
I don't know. It's definitely. I mean, we saw this early in the season with the Turkey Hill Series. There was just we had a couple of cautions at Daytona, and then we went on the West Coast swing, and we had 0 cautions. And then the dam finally broke at Atlanta, where that was an absolute hornet's nest. That race was so. We could be seeing a similar situation here at Rockingham, where we've had a little bit of a dry spell of cautions, and then, boom, here comes the rainy season. It's just yellow after yellow after yellow. So these drivers have been on their best behavior, but that can only last for some time. And this track can get a little bit crazy sometimes, so you never know what's going to happen. The Chick-fil-A Cup Series, or any series on Napa Fan, on how the cars are going to react, how the drivers are going to act and behave and whatnot, but at the end of the day, this is a video game, so this should be. So it's. I don't know how to wrap that up. It's just gonna be. You just never know how this is gonna play out, but I think tomorrow is just gonna be wild and crazy, and we're gonna have more yellows than usual.
Well, there's Alexander Rowe, the 25er points leader, going to the top position. He's actually now tied for the top position, but he is the points leader, so he'll break that tie with Samad Ozkin. Now Diego Yepes, and we have not seen Yepes that much this season in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, but he just clocked in the fastest time in the 88. And this is one of those races that can break a losing streak, interestingly enough. You get a good run, and then all of a sudden, there you are. You have a shot at winning the race, and you see the 88 of Diego Yepez, fastest in the Beast Racing Dodge. Dodge has won here at Rockingham the past 2 years when Otter Island Motorsports drove Dodge in Season 7, and then last year when Titan Fury won this race with Brad Stover. Of course, McMillan is the Season 7 winner of this race. See him there in the 79 machine. Not the best of runs for him right now. 22nd. Not the worst place to be either, but we'll have to see if he can work tire strategy and find his way closer to the front in tomorrow's race. But either way, going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, especially with Alexander Rowe up there in second. And Rowe has been doing an excellent job this season for North State Racing. Of course, this is a home race for North State Racing. And they got the Cheerwine 66 out there of LJ Semedo, currently 5th fastest. So they are definitely doing a good job. And not only that, they're uncharted drivers in this race. Josh Williamson in the 67. Of course, he doesn't have the best of runs right now, currently 23rd. But North State Racing definitely looking to have a great, strong run here at Rockingham Speedway. And looking for their first win at the Rock as well. And they're going to have a good chance of doing so with both of their drivers starting provisionally, at least, inside the top 5. Andrew Miller just went to 4th. Great run for Miller right there. There's our last winner, Wyatt Quayle, who won that wild race we had at Bristol. See where Wyatt Quayle currently is in the 39. He is, if I can find him here, 36. Not the best of runs for Quayle, but still coming off that race victory at Bristol and looking to get a little bit of momentum heading into this one. This is a tough place. This is usually a place where veterans do a lot better than the rookies. Going to be interesting to see who pulls it off, and looks like Yepez going to have a good shot at pulling it off tomorrow in the Cheerwine 400.
Indeed, and definitely the drivers that are in the Dodges have the manufacturers to get it done here. The last 2 races in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series at Rockingham Speedway have been won by Dodges. You have Daniel McMillan in Season 7 winning for NRLOA Motorsports. Then last year, Season 8, you had Brad Stover winning for whatever team he was on last year. So Dodges definitely have this place figured out. So they're definitely going to be the dominant manufacturer come race day. But who knows, maybe a Toyota who hasn't won since Season 3, or a Chevy that hasn't won since Season 6 with Matt Dalio. Or heck, even a Ford that hasn't won since Season 4. Maybe they could come on top and break the Dodge streak. But Dodgers are definitely going to be the dominant manufacturer in tomorrow's race.
And right now they got 2 Dodges on the front row with Yepez and Alexander Rowe. You got a Toyota of Sam Manowskin, the Chevy of Andrew Miller, another Dodge. Actually, a couple more Dodges there with LJ Semedo and Trey Bartow. Then the Chevy of Ryan Arani, the Dodge of Bradley Ream, the Ford of Cameron Garlington. A good run for Garlington there, and he had a great run at Bristol. Almost got the race victory, but he finished second, by far the best finish he had all year. He's going to be 9th provisionally, and then the 47, the Chevrolet of Mitchell Henderson. So it's going to be interesting to see who pulls it off. We got a mix of rookies and veterans up front. Of course, Sam Manowskin, who's already won a race this year, is 3rd. And LJ Semedo's up there, Ryan Durrani, and of course Bradley Ream has shown a lot of strength this season. But the rest of those guys are all veterans, and they know how to get it done in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, especially Alexander Rowe, who has clearly been the dominant guy this season. Had a rough couple of races after the 500, but since he won Phoenix, he has just been on point every single race, and that's why he's currently the points leader. But by only 7 points ahead of Reagan Whitlock, so it's interesting to see how he'll be able to manage that point gap as the season rolls along. I mean, we're not even a third of the way through the season yet. Not even halfway through the regular season. We'll be halfway at the end of next week's race at Talladega, but Alexander Rowe's looking pretty good, and one guy's looking pretty good, one team that's looking pretty good. Zachary Fitzwater just went to the top of the board. Now, Fitzwater's not had the best of seasons. He's been pretty solid in some places, but we really haven't seen him contend for a win yet this year. But drafting off of his teammate, Diego Yepez, who was the fastest guy, went right to the top of the board, and right now, Beast Racing is looking to lock up the front row here for Rockingham. Great job out of these guys. That's a little bit interesting. The Chick-fil-A Cup Series goes to Rockingham, but New Era Cup Series does not. So the New Era Cup Series is the first time, I think, all season that the Chick-fil-A Cup Series is separate from the New Era Cup Series. They're going to Richmond this weekend, but Marty's team doing pretty good at the place he doesn't even go to in his series. How about that? But Fitzy, you know he's good. He's going for his 10th career Chick-fil-A Cup Series race victory. If Fitzwater were to win tomorrow, he would be the first driver in Napa fan history to win 10 races in any series. And he's got 9 in the series here in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, more than anyone else We'll have to see if he makes it at double digits tomorrow. It's looking pretty good for him right now as he's got the fastest time here in Cheerwine 400 qualifying.
He's got the manufacturer, the team, and he's Zachary Fitzwater, the god of NR 2003. So he's got the trifecta to win tomorrow. So I think Zachary Fitzwater, he's always a contender in any of these races. So I think, especially with a teammate, just starting with a teammate on the front row, he's definitely going to be a viable factor in tomorrow's race. So I think he does make Napa fan history, and he does get double digits in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, this is going to be a 79-lap race. So there's going to be a lot of racing to do. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow.
It'll be interesting to see who gets it done because you can't just hand it right over to the pole sitter in this race. Passing is actually very possible on this racetrack. And we'll probably see a few of those passes for the race lead before pit stops. And then, of course, tire wear comes into factor. So many different factors in this race, a little bit more than other races because, especially of that tire wear, we're going to see that at Darlington too, and that's the finale. And I think that's also important for a lot of these guys. You want to actually get used to how that finale is going to work. So the first time we've gone to Darlington as the finale, and of course, most of these guys have raced a race at Darlington before. But for the first time ever, it will be the finale race, and I think these guys are going to be taking some notes from today's race and applying it into that Darlington race in September. So, very similar tire combination, very similar way the tires wear out. I think that's going to be a very important factor later on down the road. But Fitzwater looking strong, top of the board form, looks like he's going to be leading us to the green flag for tomorrow's Cheerwine 400, and in fact he will. With his teammate, Diego Yepes, starting alongside him on row 1. Alex in a row and Sam and Oskin tied for third, but row the points leader will start ahead of Oskin. Andrew Miller, and you got LJ Sameto and Trey Bartow. We'll have to see who has the tiebreaker between those two drivers right there. Ryan Durrani, Bradley Ream, and Cameron Garlington round out the top 10. Take a look at the rest of the finishing results for qualifying, and I believe those are the only ties that we have. Both of them inside the top 10. Very interesting. Our season 6 winner, Matt Delio, qualifying in the last position. Not exactly where he wants to be, but it's a long race tomorrow. 79 laps. A lot can happen between the start and the finish of tomorrow's Cheerwine 400. But either way, coming up in, I would imagine, less than an hour over on Napa Fan, we got ourselves the Carolina 150 in the Hers Dash Series. Recommend you check that one out. You guys have been loving that series, and I'm genuinely surprised, so thank you very much. And tomorrow at noon Eastern Time on Napa Fan, it's the Cheerwine 400 from the Rockingham Speedway. Thank you guys so much for watching. Congratulations to Zachary Fitzwater for winning the pole, and I will see you guys later.